How to speak English even when you feel nervous. Have you ever had that moment where you're sitting in a class, a meeting, or even just in front of a friend, and someone says, "Say something in English," and suddenly your heart starts racing, your hands feel cold, your mind goes completely blank, even though you know you've practiced so many words? You're not alone. So many English learners face this same fear. It doesn't matter how many grammar books you've read or how many vocabulary lists you've memorized. When it's time to speak, it can feel like all your hard work disappears, and all that's left is nervous energy. But let me tell you something important. Feeling nervous doesn't mean you're weak. It means you care. You want to speak well. You want to express yourself clearly. You want people to understand you. And that's a beautiful thing. But sometimes that desire creates pressure, and that pressure creates fear. We often think that confident English speakers are born that way, that they have some magical gift. But the truth is, confidence is not a gift. It's a skill. And just like any skill, it can be learned. It can be practiced. And yes, even you can build it, step by step, day by day. Now, let's take a deep breath together. Literally. Inhale and exhale. You're not here to be perfect. You're here to grow. You're not here to impress people. You're here to communicate. Let that sink in. You see, the fear of speaking English often comes from perfectionism. We think we have to speak without mistakes, use perfect grammar, and sound like a native speaker all at the same time. But that's not how language works. Language is messy. It's full of mistakes. Even native speakers say the wrong word or forget what they were going to say. Have you ever heard a native English speaker say, you know, or like 5 times in a sentence? Of course. They don't stop speaking because of that, and neither should you. What really matters is not perfection, it's connection. When you speak English, your goal is not to be perfect. Your goal is to be understood. Your goal is to share your thoughts, your ideas, your feelings with real people. Let me tell you a little story. There was a young woman who had been learning English for years. She could write beautiful essays. Her grammar was almost perfect. But every time she had to speak, she would freeze. One day, she had a video call with a group of international students. She was so nervous, she could barely say hello. But someone on the call smiled at her and said, "Take your time, we're all learning." And that moment changed everything. Not because she suddenly became fluent, but because she realized she didn't have to be perfect. She just had to be brave enough to try. And that's what speaking English really is, not a performance, but an act of courage. Let's imagine another scene. You walk into a cafe in another country. You want to order something in English. You know the words, "I'd like a coffee, please," but as you approach the counter, your brain starts panicking. What if I say it wrong? What if they don't understand me? What if I embarrass myself? Now stop, take a breath, and say it anyway. Maybe your voice shakes, maybe you forget a word. Maybe the sentence isn't perfect. But guess what? You did it, you spoke. You pushed through the fear, and that's a win. That's a real victory. Every time you do that, speak even when it's hard, you train your brain. You teach yourself that you can survive those moments. And slowly, the fear begins to shrink. Here's another secret: confidence doesn't come first. It comes after action. So many learners wait for confidence before they speak. But it doesn't work like that. You speak first, then you become confident. You take the step, then the courage follows. So start small. Talk to yourself in English. Describe what you're doing as you go through your day. I'm brushing my teeth. I'm making breakfast. I'm walking to work. It might feel silly at first, but it's powerful. You're training your tongue, your brain, your ears all at once. If you're afraid of speaking to people, start by speaking around people. Talk to your pet. Talk to the mirror. Record your voice on your phone and play it back. Listen to how you sound, Notice how your voice gets more comfortable, more natural, more confident with time. And don't worry if you make mistakes. Mistakes are not failures. They're part of the process. In fact, if you're not making mistakes, you're not really learning. Think about children learning to walk. They fall down hundreds of times. But do they give up? No, they keep going. And eventually, they walk, they run, they climb. You are learning to speak a new language. Of course there will be stumbles, but each one is bringing you closer to fluency. Let's talk about your voice for a moment. You might not like the sound of your English. You might think your accent is too strong or your pronunciation is strange. But your voice is yours. It's unique. It's the sound of your journey. And it's more powerful than you think. Your accent is not a problem. It's a part of your story. Don't hide it. Don't be ashamed of it. Wear it with pride. Every time you speak English, you are showing the world your determination, your effort, your courage. And that's something to celebrate. Now, I want you to imagine your future self 6 months from now. 1 year from now. Imagine that version of you standing in front of a group, speaking English with confidence, answering questions, telling stories, expressing your ideas. That version of you exists, and you are moving toward it every time you choose to speak, even when you're nervous. You're not waiting for the fear to disappear. You're learning to speak through the fear. And that, my friend, is true strength. So the next time your heart starts racing and your hands feel shaky, remember this: those feelings are not signs that you should stay silent. They're signs that you're doing something meaningful, something challenging, something brave. You're not just learning English. You're learning how to face fear, how to express yourself, how to grow into a stronger version of you. And that's something truly powerful. You see, nervousness isn't the enemy. It's a signal that you're stepping outside your comfort zone. And that's where all growth happens. Think of every moment of fear as a door. You can walk past it, or you can walk through it. And when you do walk through it, when you open your mouth and say that sentence, even with trembling lips, you are making progress that no textbook can ever give you. So many learners ask, how do I stop feeling nervous? But maybe that's the wrong question. Maybe the better question is, how do I speak even when I'm nervous? Because that's the goal, not to remove fear, but to act anyway, to speak anyway, to continue anyway. Let me share something personal. I've worked with people who were terrified of public speaking. One man, from a small village, had never spoken English in front of more than 2 people. He was afraid people would laugh at his pronunciation. But one day, he stood up in front of a class and introduced himself in English. It was simple, just a few sentences. But when he finished, the room applauded. And I'll never forget what he said after: I didn't know I could do it until I did it. That's the magic. You don't wait for the fear to leave. You take action while it's still there. And when you do, you show yourself that you're stronger than it. The next time gets easier, and the time after that easier still. Now, let's talk about one of the most powerful tools you can use to fight nervousness: preparation. Confidence doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from practice, and practice doesn't have to be boring. Start by preparing phrases you can use in different situations. For example, if someone asks you about your job, practice saying, I work in customer service, or I'm studying at university. If someone says, tell me about your hobbies, be ready with, I enjoy reading and cooking, or I like playing football on weekends. These may seem simple, but they are your building blocks. The more familiar these blocks become, the less you'll panic when someone asks you a question. Instead of thinking, what do I say? Your brain will say, I've practiced this, I know what to do. And don't just practice in your head. Say it out loud. The mouth is a muscle, and it needs training, just like your brain does. Speak in front of the mirror. Speak while walking. Speak while doing dishes. Turn your daily life into your classroom. And don't underestimate the power of listening. The more English you listen to natural English, real conversations, not just scripted lessons, the more your brain absorbs the rhythm, the tone, the way sentences flow. It starts to become familiar. You'll begin to notice how people pause, how they start sentences, how they react. You can even shadow people. That means listening to a sentence and repeating it immediately, trying to match the sound. It's like singing along with music, but you're training your speaking skills at the same time. There's another thing that helps with nervousness: changing how you think about mistakes. Most people treat mistakes like disasters, but in reality, mistakes are simply signs that you're learning. Every time you mess up a sentence, it's a lesson, and the best learners are the ones who keep making mistakes and keep going anyway. Think of mistakes like stepping stones. You walk on them to cross the river. You don't stop halfway and say, "Oops, I stepped wrong, I give up." No, you keep walking. You adjust. You get better. You reach the other side. So instead of thinking, "What if I say it wrong?" ask yourself, "What if I learn something by saying it?" That one change in mindset can free you from so much fear. And here's another powerful idea: not everyone who hears you speak English is judging you. Most people are actually impressed. They hear you trying, and they respect that. Think about it: if someone tried to speak your language, even with mistakes, wouldn't you feel respect for their effort? The same is true when you speak English. You don't need to sound like someone else. You just need to sound like you trying, growing, expressing. I know sometimes you worry that people will laugh, or that they'll correct you in a rude way. But remember, the people who matter won't judge you. And the people who judge you, they don't matter. There's so much power in owning your journey, saying, "Yes, I'm still learning, but I'm speaking anyway." That attitude changes everything. It gives you freedom. It gives you strength. And here's something simple you can start doing today. Every morning, speak one sentence in English. Just one. Look out your window and say, "The sun is shining." Or say, "Today I will speak with confidence." One sentence every day. Over time, those sentences become habits. And habits create confidence. At night, review your day in English. Think about what you did. I went to the store. I talked to my friend. I studied for an hour. You don't need perfect grammar. You just need to build the bridge between your thoughts and your voice. That's the real goal: to make English not just something you learn, but something you live. Something that flows out of you naturally, like your native language does. And yes, this takes time. It takes patience. It takes courage, but the rewards are incredible. Imagine being able to travel, to work, to build friendships, to express deep emotions, all in English. That power is in your hands. All you have to do is keep going. Let's make a promise right now, you and me. Let's promise that we will speak, even when our voice shakes. We will try even when our heart races. We will grow even when we're afraid. Because that's how fluency is built: not by waiting for confidence, but by creating it. You are stronger than you think. Your voice matters. And the world needs to hear what you have to say in English. In your own words, in your own accent, with your own heart behind it. You might not realize it yet, but every time you open your mouth and speak a few words of English, you're building something. It's not just a sentence, it's a layer of belief. A layer of proof that you can speak, that you are learning, and that you will improve. And these layers start to stack. One sentence today, another tomorrow, a short conversation next week. Slowly, your fear starts to lose its grip. Because your actions, even the small ones, are sending a message to your brain: I can do this. Now, I want to talk about a mindset shift that can truly change the game for you. Most learners focus on performance. They think, I have to say this perfectly. But what if instead of focusing on performance, you focused on progress? Instead of asking, did I say that perfectly? Ask, did I say it better than I did yesterday? That's a much kinder, more powerful question. It takes the pressure off and helps you notice your own growth. And growth, not perfection, is what leads to confidence. Because perfection is a lie. No one speaks perfectly. Even the most fluent speakers make mistakes. They pause, they correct themselves. They forget words, but they don't stop, and you shouldn't either. Here's something powerful to remember: nervousness is energy. It's like electricity in your body, and you get to decide what to do with that energy. You can let it freeze you, or you can let it fuel you. Use it, channel it. Let that nervous energy remind you that you're alive, that you're doing something courageous, that you're choosing growth over comfort. And you know what else helps? Kindness, not just to others, but to yourself. Speak to yourself like you would speak to a friend who's learning. Would you say, "You're terrible at English," or "You'll never improve"? Of course not. You'd say, "You're doing great. Keep going. It's okay to make mistakes." So give yourself the same kindness. Encourage yourself. Celebrate your effort. Even if it's just one sentence a day, celebrate that. Because here's the truth: you don't need to speak fast. You don't need to use fancy vocabulary. You just need to speak honestly, calmly, with intention, with heart. Even a simple sentence like "I am learning English," if said with sincerity, is powerful. It's real. It connects. And when you focus on connection, instead of perfection, magic happens. People listen more. You relax more. You stop trying to impress, and you start trying to express. And that changes everything. You see, the real beauty of speaking a language isn't in how perfect your grammar is. It's in the moment you use your words to share a thought, an idea, a feeling, and someone else understands you. That's connection. That's the goal. So if you're afraid, don't hide it. Embrace it. Let it walk beside you. But don't let it control you. Say to yourself, "Yes, I feel nervous, but I'm still going to speak." You'll be amazed at what happens when you take that first step, and the second, and the third. The fear won't disappear overnight, but it will get smaller. Your voice will get stronger. Your confidence will grow. And one day, maybe sooner than you think, you'll have a conversation in English without even realizing it. You'll say what you need to say. You'll understand the response. And you'll walk away thinking, "Wait, I just did that." That day will come. But it starts now, with small, brave steps, with tiny choices to speak when you could stay silent, to try when you could avoid, to keep going when it would be easier to give up. And on this journey, remember this: you're not alone. Every English learner has felt what you feel: the nervousness, the self-doubt, the fear of being judged. But many of them kept going, and you can too. The world doesn't need perfect English speakers. It needs real ones, brave ones, ones who speak from the heart. And that's you. Let's pause for a moment, not to stop the journey, but to breathe, to recognize that even listening to this speech means you care. You want to grow. You're ready to improve. That matters more than you know. Because the moment you decide to speak English, even in fear, that's the moment everything begins to change. Let's talk about your environment for a moment. The people around you can have a powerful impact on your confidence. If you're surrounded by those who constantly correct you harshly, or laugh at your attempts, it's natural to feel nervous. But here's the truth: you're allowed to protect your learning space. You don't know anyone perfection. You don't have to speak English for people who don't support you. Instead, find even one person, just one, who encourages you. Maybe a friend, maybe a tutor, maybe someone online who's learning like you. Create your space. Make it a place of safety, where mistakes are welcome and effort is celebrated. Speak in that space as much as possible. It will give you strength when you step outside. And even if no one around you speaks English, speak anyway. Speak to yourself. Record your voice. Listen back. Celebrate small wins. Like, today I introduced myself in English. Or today I spoke to someone for 30 seconds. These are victories. You know, we often look at fluent speakers and think, wow, they're amazing. I wish I could speak like that. But what we don't see is the struggle behind it, the late nights. The repeated phrases, the quiet frustration, the moments they almost quit. Every fluent speaker you admire was once a nervous beginner. Just like you, they faced the same fear and they chose to walk through it. That path is open to you too. And sometimes the key is to speak before you're ready. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait until your grammar is perfect, or your accent is neutral, or your vocabulary is wide. Just speak. Say what you can. Use the words you know. Point if you must. Laugh if it helps. But speak. It's not about being ready. It's about being willing. You don't learn to swim by waiting on the shore. You learn by stepping into the water. Slowly, cautiously, but bravely. And little by little you float, you move, you swim. Speaking English is the same. The more you do it, the less afraid you become, the more confident you feel. And suddenly, something shifts. English stops being a subject you study and becomes a skill you live. And this skill, it will open doors. It will help you get better jobs, make international friends, travel, understand movies and books. But more than that, it will show you what you're capable of. It will teach you that your voice is powerful, no matter the language. Now, let's talk about breathing. Yes, breathing, because nervousness often shows up in the body. You might feel tightness in your chest. Your hands might sweat, or your voice might tremble. But if you learn to pause and take a deep breath, a real, slow, deep breath, you calm your body. And when your body calms down, your mind follows. Just 3 deep breaths before you speak can change everything. It's a small habit with big power. So, next time you feel nervous, pause, breathe, smile, then speak. Also, remind yourself English is not a test. It's not something you pass or fail. It's a tool, a bridge, a way to connect. And every time you use it, even imperfectly, you are getting stronger. You don't have to impress anyone. You just have to express yourself. That's where your power lies, in your story, in your thoughts, in your willingness to be seen, even when you're scared. You are not invisible. Your English doesn't have to be perfect to be valuable. People want to hear what you have to say. And let's be honest, learning English isn't just about learning a new language. It's about becoming a new version of yourself, a more courageous version, a version that dares to try, that dares to be uncomfortable, that dares to grow. So the next time your voice shakes, remember, this shaking doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're doing something meaningful. Even fear is proof that you're stretching. And stretch by stretch, you'll expand into someone who speaks with clarity, with peace, with pride. You've come this far. Don't stop now. Your future self, the one who speaks confidently, who chats with strangers, who interviews in English, is cheering for you. Keep walking. Keep practicing. Keep speaking. So, let's talk about silence. Many learners think that silence is the enemy of a good conversation. They panic when there's a pause. They rush to fill it, afraid it means they failed. But the truth is, silence is normal. Even in our native language, we pause. We think. We search for the right word. Silence is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you're thinking, that you're being careful, that you care. So the next time there's a gap in conversation, breathe. Smile. Let the silence sit there for a moment. Then speak when you're ready. You're allowed to take your time. And here's something else: fluency is not speed. It's not about how fast you speak, it's about how clearly you communicate. Some of the most confident and English speakers in the world speak slowly, calmly, and with intention. That's powerful. That's memorable. That's fluency. If your voice trembles or your words get stuck, don't be ashamed. Speak slowly. Let your confidence grow one word at a time. It's not a race, it's a journey. Now let's talk about small wins. You need them. You need those little moments of success because they remind you that progress is happening. Maybe today you understand a sentence in a movie without subtitles. That's a win. Maybe you reply in English instead of switching back to your native language. That's a win. Maybe you ask someone a simple question, "What time is it?" and they answer and you understand. That's a win. These small wins matter. They build momentum. They remind you, I'm doing this. I can do this. Start writing them down. Create a confidence journal. Every time you do something in English that used to scare you, write it down. Read it when doubt creeps in. Let your own progress be your proof. Now, let's get practical for a moment. What are some simple techniques you can use right away when nervousness hits? Here's one: practice speaking in chunks. Don't try to memorize a whole paragraph. Just focus on short, natural phrases you can use in real life. Things like, "Can I ask you something? I'm not sure, but I think to. Let me try to explain. One moment, please." These are powerful because they buy you time. They show confidence, and they keep the conversation moving, even if your mind is nervous. You can also use what I call anchor phrases. These are phrases that ground you, that you can fall back on when your mind goes blank. For example, "Sorry, I'm still learning English. Can you say that again, please? I understand a little, but not everything." There's no shame in saying these. In fact, most people will respect your honesty and appreciate your effort. English is a global language, not a perfect one. You don't have to be flawless to be understood. You just have to be real. Here's another technique: record yourself. I know it feels awkward at first, but it's one of the fastest ways to build confidence. Pick a topic. Speak for 1 minute. Don't worry about grammar. Just speak. Then listen to the recording, not to judge, but to learn. Notice the words you used well. Notice where you paused. Then try again. Over time, you'll start to hear your own improvement. Your voice won't sound as strange. You'll speak more smoothly. That's real, visible growth. And remember, you're not trying to impress native speakers. You're trying to communicate. Native speakers themselves are often very kind and patient when they see someone trying. It's other learners or our own inner critic that make us feel judged. But let me tell you something powerful: your brain is rewiring every time you speak English. Every sentence you form, every word you say, is building a new connection in your mind. That's science, and that means your nervousness today is part of the process. It means your brain is working, growing, changing. Isn't that beautiful? And here's something you probably haven't heard enough: you're doing better than you think. Yes, you, the one listening now, may be doubting, may be overthinking. You're already doing something many people never dare to do. You're trying. That alone makes you brave. So keep trying. Speak when you feel scared. Practice when you feel tired. Keep a notebook. Repeat your favorite phrases. Watch videos. Listen to conversations. But most importantly, speak. Even one word is a victory. Even one sentence is a sign of strength. Your voice matters even when it shakes. You might be wondering, how long will it take? When will I finally feel confident? And that's such a fair question. Here's the honest answer: confidence doesn't arrive all at once. It builds like drops of water filling a glass. One day you say hello without fear. Another day you order coffee in English. Later you answer a question in a meeting. Then one day someone compliments your English and you realize you've come so far. But here's the secret: confidence isn't something you wait for, it's something you practice. It's built in the small, daily choices. Choosing to speak instead of staying silent. Choosing to try even when your heart is racing. Choosing to keep going even when you make mistakes. That's how confidence is made, not in one big moment, but in many small, brave ones. Now, I want you to imagine something. Picture yourself 6 months from now. You're sitting in a room. Someone starts speaking to you in English and without hesitation. You reply. Maybe your voice is still a little soft. Maybe you pause, but you understand. You answer, and you smile. That version of you, that confident version, it's not a fantasy. It's just the result of steady, patient effort. It's the reward for not giving up. And if you ever feel discouraged, I want you to remember this: every fluent speaker was once where you are. They all had day one. They all felt nervous. They all stumbled over words, and they all kept going. You're not behind. You're not slow. You're on your path, and every step counts. Let's talk about mindset for a moment. Nervousness often grows louder when your inner voice is full of doubt. When you think things like "Angs, I'll sound stupid. They'll laugh at me. What if I mess up?" These thoughts are powerful, but they're not facts. They're just fears. And fears only grow if you feed them. So instead, feed your courage. Change your thoughts to, "I'm learning. It's okay to make mistakes. Every sentence I speak makes me stronger." This simple shift from fear to growth will slowly transform how you speak. Your goal is not to be perfect. Your goal is to connect, to express what you think, to be understood. If you can do that even simply, you're winning. And now, let's talk about community. Learning is easier when you're not alone. If you can, find other learners. Join English-speaking groups. Attend language meetups, even online. Start a conversation club. Create a small study circle. Share your journey. When you speak with others who also feel nervous, something amazing happens. The fear feels smaller. The pressure fades. And slowly, joy returns to learning.